So this is awkward, but I promise you there's a reason I'm sitting on the ground with my shirt off talking to you. So I want to talk to you guys about hollow rocks and why we do them and what you might be doing wrong and what I want you to kind of focus on in the future when we do them. We don't usually do them in workouts, very rarely, if ever. Most of the time they'll be in a warm-up. The reason we do hollow rocks, guys, is not so much to build, your abs, to work on your abs. The reason is actually more so to learn spinal control and learn how to control your spine, put your spine into a certain shape and hold it there and stabilize it. So because of that reason, if you're doing a hollow rock, just because your abs are burning does not necessarily mean you're doing it the right way. In fact, you could be doing it the wrong way and actually hurting yourself and making things worse. So I want to talk about what we look for and how we want to do them so that we're doing them the right way and achieving the goal of learning to maintain that spinal position, to achieve that spinal position and be able to use it in workouts and also use it to keep yourself safe and learn how to stabilize and create a rigid spine, not just for the gym, but for life as well. So I actually really struggle with these, so bear with me. I'm probably gonna get out of breath pretty quick here as I try to demonstrate the right and the wrong. I also want to show you some scaling options and the best way to scale a hollow rock. So when we say hollow, what we mean is kind of that curved position. So we're looking to create a little bit of curve in the spine. Now the curve isn't just in the spine, it's actually global. It's the whole body we're looking to create a curve in. And what we're gonna do is tighten that curve in order to scale it to make it easier. And as you get more advanced, we try to open that curve. But it'll be as tight as we need to in order to maintain one thing. And here's that one thing we're looking to maintain. And I have my shirt off, so hopefully you can see my back. When we're doing this right, our spine is gonna be pressed into the ground, okay? My shoulders, my middle back is kind of elevated, and my hips are also elevated. I'm not gonna take my shorts off, but you get the idea. Your hips are kind of elevated as well. If at any point you start to see that little gap right there, you're doing it wrong. So if we're doing a timed hollow rock and you start to gap, you start to feel that gap, and you keep going, all you're doing is reinforcing that less than ideal position. So at that point, you need to either scale or fix it, because if you keep going in that less than ideal position, you're actually just reinforcing bad mechanics. You're reinforcing bad position. So how do we scale? How do we achieve that position? Well, again, first off, the goal is to drive that spine into the ground. So we can really easily do that by just curling up into a ball, okay? I've created that position in my spine that I want to keep. From here, a couple things we can do. This is a perfectly fine scale here, but we can take and just kind of point one leg, trying to maintain those hips off the ground and that spinal curve. And we can go the other leg. We can also kind of start to bring our hands overhead. This makes it a little harder. We can still do the same thing here. Notice I'm trying to keep those hips off the ground. Okay? The hollow hold, the hollow position that we often see is this one right here. Okay? We can easily scale that by going here and just kind of tighten it up. Again, I'm looking for that hips off the ground, back is pressing. If I open this up and then you begin to see that gap, that's no good. We got to shut it down, either close it up to get the lower back on the ground, or you can even go to this position or some other position. But that lower back has to be pushed into the ground the entire time. If we lose that, we're losing the point of the exercise. We're not getting the benefit that we're looking for out of it. So make sure the lower back is pressed into the ground. Probably shouldn't be moving on to hollow rocks until you've mastered at least a 15-20 second hollow hold first. Also, one thing I like to do when I'm doing hollow holds is don't use a mat. Use the ground, because you can feel your spine pushing into the ground a little bit. You can get better feedback because you can actually feel that. If you're on a soft surface, you might not feel your lower back pushing into the ground because there's too much cushion. Trying to think if there's anything I didn't cover. But that's the idea. The idea here, guys, is not to get a good ab workout, because you can be in a bad position and still feel your abs firing and still feel like, oh, my abs are working. We want to reinforce that hollow position, that curved position. The best feedback you can give yourself, the best cue for that is, do you feel your spine, your lower back, your lumbar pushing into the ground? Is there a gap? If there's a gap, we have to shut it down, we gotta fix it, scale it so that you can get that lower back pressing into the ground, get that tailbone tucked, get those hips tucked, get those shoulders up, and get yourself into a good position. So one more time. Again, what we're looking for is that lower back, always pressing into the ground. Okay, whether we're here, whether we're here, whether we're wherever. What we don't want to see is that lower back start to come out, okay? Keep that lower back pressed into the ground the whole time. Hope that makes sense. Hope that helps you guys out. And yeah, I will see you around the Dirty South gyms.